Hello friends, it's me, and today Amazing Digital Circus, Fear What's Next. Let's check out Film Theory. The Amazing Digital Circus will steal your soul. Wait, what? From the film theorist. Together, let's go. Let's start.
The Amazing Digital Circus just told us exactly where its story is going, all from one single line.
I need a living host in order to escape the Hall of the Damned, and your bodies will be my only means of doing so.
This is the key to the entire future of this series, and I'm gonna break it all down for you today. Hello, Internet! Welcome to Film Theory, the show that has two shots. Better make them count.
Hello Internet, welcome to Film Theory.
That time again, friends. If you don't know the Amazing Digital Circus, how? This was one of the biggest viral hits of last year, created by animator Gooseworks and the talented folks over at Glitch Productions, and it is not slowing down. Since the last episode, they've gotten a distribution deal with Netflix, meaning that episodes are simultaneously dropping on both YouTube and Netflix, which is just incredible. Seriously, congratulations on the success, guys. It's absolutely deserved. And speaking of episodes, a brand new one just hit the web, so you just know we had to cover it. And it's a spooky, scary episode, just in time for Halloween. Don't you just love coincidences? Or good planning, one of the two. Obviously, the Amazing Digital Circus is a really fun series to theorize about, and if you want in, you can go check out the awesome community over at the Digital Circus subreddit. As for us, we've covered a lot of ideas here, some of which I actually think are the direction the series is headed, and other I think are big wild swings. So, to make sure we're on the same page, let's talk about where we think the series is actually going. Our running theory is that the Amazing Digital Circus is an advanced 90s VR video game which copies the minds of any humans that put on the headset. These copies then become the characters in the circus. However, the AI inside of the game is so advanced that one of the human characters, Jax, is secretly an NPC tormenting the cast as they go on adventures. And just before we get into the meat of our theory here today, episode 3 gives us so much more to add on to this. For example, Jax once again breaks the fourth wall and points at the viewer, but this time he straight up calls us out.
What do you, the viewers, think it is?
Will you stop doing that?
The only other characters we've seen do this are NPCs, and in fact, Bubble also breaks the fourth wall in this episode. There's a moment where she speaks backwards, and if you reverse the audio, it says,
I can't wait for all the children in the audience to get horrible nightmares from the monster.
Another NPC
Bro, what?
breaking the fourth wall while the human characters can't. Also worth noting that when talking about what happens to their bodies when they hold their breath, Jax is the only one who refuses to do so. Perhaps he doesn't want to because nothing happens when he holds his breath, because he's not human. But along with all of that new info about Jax, episode 3 has also given us a glimpse into the further future of the Amazing Digital Circus, both as a place and as a series. See, after diving deep into this episode, analyzing its symbolism and overthinking all of its dialogue, I think I know exactly what's going on here in the circus and why it's driving all of our favorite characters crazy. The Amazing Digital Circus is consuming its human cast, stripping them of all of their humanity, all in an effort to make itself stronger and smarter. And worst of all, it's working, and we're literally watching it unfold before our very eyes. Choose the scary door, loyal theorists. We're diving in. So the thing I wanted to touch on first today is abstraction. Yeah, when you're in the circus long enough and you go crazy, you turn into a giant monster with a bunch of eyeballs. We've talked about it before, but according to Gooseworks, when one of the human castmates abstracts, they lose everything about themselves. They lose all of their individuality, all of their humanity, and they're thrown into the cellar. And I believe that this episode is showing us that the circus is trying to make this happen. We are seeing the process of humanity being stripped away happening before our very eyes, slowly but surely. Just roll with me here. Think about all of the strange things we've seen happen to Pomni throughout the series. We see her arms stretch to weird lengths and proportions all the time. Her eyes literally pop out of her head in this episode, and she comments about them not returning to normal.
Why won't they go back in?
This episode even starts with Pomni and the gang experimenting with holding their breath. As humans, we have to breathe in order to continue living, but Pomni is being taught here that that part of her is gone. She doesn't need to breathe anymore, or eat, or sleep. And in fact, something cool, fun, and unique happens if she doesn't breathe. She's being encouraged to stop doing this fundamentally human thing, and even though it feels like she's gonna die, she's told to
Try not thinking about about it.
And by the end of the episode, the thing that lets her beat the challenge to leave a digital representation of her fear of horror to get out of hell? Not breathing. The circus is training Pomni and all of the others to give up on that aspect of their humanity. One more step towards abstraction. And just a quick aside here, but isn't it interesting that one of the main instigators of this is Jax, who we think is an AI living amongst the cast?
I want to see what your funny cartoon body does.
He's constantly reminding Pomni that she's no longer human. She's just a weird cartoon character now, being stripped of her humanity bit by bit until nothing is left but an abstracted intelligence. Oh, and we also see him torment Ragatha with centipedes in episode 1, which she describes as
Literally my only fear. Why would you do this?
And interesting that now Pomni is being forced into this haunted house, since
I'm not really a fan of horror, and I don't really handle jump scares that well.
it's almost like Jax is trying to scare the humanity out of them. But hey, I get it. This haunted house has to be one of the spookiest levels in the entire digital circus. And if Pomni, Kinger, and the gang want to stay safe in there, I'm sure they wish they had the sponsor for today's episode, NordVPN. By this point, you probably know what a VPN is. There's a lot of scary things out there on the web. People trying to steal your info or track your activity. Even your internet service provider can see everything you do on the internet, even if you're in incognito mode. That's so weird. No one needs to know what you're doing on there or what happens when you hold your breath. But NordVPN protects you, rerouting your internet connection through their own server, giving you more privacy and security. That way, your personal information can stay personal. And because your connection is getting rerouted through a different server, you can trick your internet connection into thinking that it's actually coming from somewhere else, even an entirely different state or country. So if you're living in an area that limits access to certain websites, or you're traveling and want to access content back home, you can hop on one of Nord's servers and watch it from anywhere, even the basement of this clearly haunted mansion. If you sign up for a 2-year plan of NordVPN right now, you'll receive a big honkin' discount and 4 additional months for free. It's like a little bonus power-up to keep you safe in the spookiest levels online. If you want to keep your data secure and unlock the internet, go to nordvpn.com/filmtheory to get that special Black Friday deal, all risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. Once again, that's nordvpn.com/FILMTHEORY, or just click the link in the description. One more big thank you to Nord, and let's head back into the haunted halls of the amazing digital circus. Okay.
Ed, congrats.
So what happens after abstraction, after they lose everything about themselves and are thrown into the cellar? Well, I believe they are literally joining the code of the circus, reused in other parts of the world. In episode 3, we learn that Kinger's wife Queenie, whom we've gotten glimpses of in previous episodes, abstracted some time ago. But after she was sent to the cellar, Kinger has started seeing her in other parts of the circus. For example, in episode 3, we learn that Queenie had an interest in entomology and insects.
She was funny, creative, really into entomology.
And what happens when Kinger sees the Glink Queen in episode 1? He connects her to Queenie and her interests.
An insect collection?
And this isn't just a case of this big monster has eyes all over it and reminds me of my abstracted wife. Kinger directly empathizes with the Gloink Queen.
As a royal myself, I would like to kindly ask if
He is equating himself to the Gloink Queen, just as if she were actually Queenie. Perhaps he's seeing her in the code of this character. Now, that would just be an interesting coincidence if it happened once, an Easter egg maybe, but it happens again in this latest episode. When the angel monster first attacks Kinger and Pomni, opening its mouth and revealing all of the eyes inside of it, what does Kinger say?
You look beautiful, honey.
Again, he's seeing his wife in this monster, in its code. And just before we move on from Kinger and his part of the story, I wanted to quickly touch on his memory issues and their wider impact on the digital circus. Yeah, during the episode, we learn that Kinger is able to remember things more clearly while in the dark.
I'm normally not too good with memories. Being surrounded by darkness always brings me back to a certain time.
We even see this in action elsewhere in the episode. When the power in the mansion first goes out and all we see is Pomni and Kinger's eyes, Kinger immediately remembers a joke.
What happened?
I just remembered a really funny joke.
Well, at least he thought it was a joke. The important thing is that he remembers something. More or less, while things are dark, Kinger is able to remember things more clearly and even acts like his sane self. But here's the thing, this is applicable to multiple characters. After she abstracts, Queenie is similarly calmed by darkness.
Darkness seemed to calm her down a bit. She wasn't the same as before, but she was calm enough to touch one last time.
And on the other side of the coin, we see Kane really struggling to remember things in this same episode.
I'm trying my best to remember, but both you and my brain won't tell me.
Kane has problems with his memory in this nice, brightly lit circus, the same way Kinger also struggles to remember in the light. To be straight up with you here, loyal theorists, I'm not exactly sure where this plot thread is going. In my research, I couldn't really find a great connection between darkness and memory in science, history, or myth. Like, your thoughts are committed to long-term memory during sleep, which typically happens at night, but that's about it, and it's kind of a stretch. Either way, it seems important enough to mention, so let's keep an eye on this as the series continues. But okay, why? Why is the circus trying to abstract these humans? Well, I believe it has to do with the same problem as that memory issue we see going on here. See, in a previous theory, we explained how modern AI works, and we talked about how an AI needs a human to step in to tell it whether or not it got something right. If it is right, great, it improves. And if it isn't, well, dang, it starts over and it also still improves because it knows what not to do. So, what if it could just skip that step? What if an AI could get all of that human intelligence needed to improve, but strip away the humanity from it so it's just a raw intelligence stat? Something that could be added to the circus without any of that pesky human baggage. And hey, what do you know? That's exactly what abstraction is. What's more, we also see a direct correlation between an abstracted human being added to the circus cellar and an increase in intelligence with the circus AI. Remember, Kaufmo abstracted in the first episode, and what does Kinger say immediately in the next episode after Kaufmo's thrown down to the cellar?
I'm testing out a new AI in this one. It should be 57 times more immersive.
Kane's AI is now more advanced. It's 57 times more immersive. And 57, that's an oddly specific number, isn't it? And one that you wouldn't expect to pop up more than once, and yet it does. While speaking to the ghost of the NPC Martha Mildenhall, she says about her husband,
"That man could turn a 57-second story into a Greek tragedy."
Again, there's that number, 57, and that absolutely has to mean something, and there are plenty of possibilities.
But having said that, what if it is just a coincidence? I'm sorry. But having said that though, for this particular video that I did a reaction to, I failed so many times to say the words "Hello friends, it's me, and today, Amazing Digital Circus, fear what's next." Let's check out Film Theory, the Amazing Digital Circus will steal your soul. From the Film Theories, together, let's go. I took so long because of the word Amazing Digital Circus. I say it as Amazing Digital Circus.
Doing some digging, I found a few things that 57 could be related to. Firstly, according to legend, mathematician Alexander Grothendieck would often give 57 as an example of a prime number, despite it not actually being a prime. 57 thus earned the nickname Grothendieck's prime. Grothendieck was known for working with complex algebra that was, quote, abstract. Abstract algebra? Abstraction? It could be a deep cut by Gooseworks. Secondly, despite not being a prime number, 57 is a semi-prime number. That means that it's the direct product of multiplying two different prime numbers. If the circus is getting smarter by adding more and more human intelligences to itself, that could be a metaphor for a semi-prime number. It's the product of all these different humans being multiplied with each other. Thirdly, and along those same lines, if I were to take a wild swing, maybe there have been 57 cast members that have been abstracted and taken to the cellar. 57 human intelligences added to the circus AI. All that being said, I should also mention that 57 has a lot of meanings in religious texts. In Isaiah 57, God specifically says that there's no peace for the wicked, just like there's no peace for the people here in the digital circus. Kinda lines up with the idea that it's hell. Meanwhile, Psalm 57 is about David fleeing from Saul into a cave and begging God to be merciful. Sounds a lot like what someone might do here in the circus, trying to escape into this game before begging for the adventures to stop, for God.
Okay, bro, I think you're taking the word 57, sorry. I think you're taking the number 57 way too...
God to have mercy. But most interestingly to me, God is referred to as Almighty exactly 57 times in the King James Bible. But at the same time, the word devil also appears exactly 57 times in that same text. That is a fascinating coincidence, and if we carry it over here to the digital circus, perhaps it's telling us that the god of this circus, Cain, isn't actually a god, but the devil instead. Now, all of
Okay, stop. Coincidence aside, how does it relate to this video? How?
these religious parallels in iconography are a bit of a stretch, but I wanted to bring them up because, well, this episode is just dripping with religious ideas. Like, when we did our theory last year about how the Amazing Digital Circus was literally hell, it was a fun, off-the-wall idea. It was a joke. We didn't actually expect them to dive super deep into it, but hey, here we are. Oh, and just so we're on the same page about that, let's do a quick recap of that theory. We noticed that Pomni and the rest of the cast line up shockingly well to the Last Supper painting, that the company that seemingly made the digital circus was called C&A, likely short for Cain and Abel, which is a story from the Bible. Cain is often depicted as a god in the world he creates. Cain, the circus, and the abstracted individuals all have eyes everywhere in their symbology, or even just straight up look like the biblical descriptions of angels like Aphanim or Seraphim, and the circus itself is very similar to the depiction of hell from a famous play called No Exit. And the parallels just continue on from here in episode 3. Firstly, the use of eyes in the background as gags for the show continues in this episode with paintings, drawings, missing posters, and the like. There's that joke about Pomni's eyes not going back into her head. Kinger accidentally pokes Pomni in the eye.
That's my eye.
But which eye?
I really don't think that Will you stop touching my eye?
And Mildenhall says he took his eyes off the monster before it attacked.
I took my eyes off the body for what felt like only a minute.
There are books about angels and religion, and even borderline religious horror like Lovecraft on the bookshelf in the library, and of course the monster itself is literally one of these biblically accurate angels.
The creature was actually one of God's angels.
And just the cherry on top, Pomni and Kinger get dragged to hell as punishment for attacking it. Now, all of that is really cool, and it feels great to have one of our more off-the-wall ideas sort of come to fruition. But, well, did you notice anything about this hell? Yeah, it's not exactly the sort of place or punishment you'd typically expect when you hear hell with fire and brimstone and a red dude with a goatee and a pointy stick.
Not really typical of what you'd think hell would be.
No, instead, this is a lot more in line with other depictions of hell, specifically the Greek Hades and the Norse Hell with one L. In Greek myth, the underworld is often called Hades after the god that rules over it. This was a, quote, dark and shadowy realm, and souls would often have to cross the river Styx to enter it. And hey, wouldn't you know it, but Styx was often portrayed as having souls within its waters. And what do we see here in this digital circus version of hell? It's dark and shadowy with a flowing river of souls flying through the air. Also, isn't it interesting that Martha Mildenhall says,
That man could turn a 57-second story into a Greek tragedy.
a direct reference to Greece in an episode with a Greek-looking underworld. Likewise, the Norse hell ruled over by the goddess of the same name is also where most souls went when they died, and it's described as a cold, dark, misty world. Again, just like what we see here in the digital circus. Okay, but so what? This hell looks more like the afterlife of other religions. Why does that matter? Well, both Hades and the Norse hell weren't bad places. They weren't punishments. They just were. It was the place most people went when they died, not because they did anything wrong, but just because that was the next phase of their existence. And when we apply that to the digital circus, well, anything down here wouldn't necessarily be bad. It just is, and it wants out. More on that in a sec. See, something jumped out at me as I was rewatching this episode. Notice the structure of Mildenhall Manor in this level. Pomni and Kinger start out on a top floor where the mystery begins, and then they're sent down to the cellar where they're attacked by the many-eyed angel monster. Notice anything there? Firstly, Cain makes these levels for the cast to have adventures in, and we know for a fact that he can only base levels on what he knows. Remember how he couldn't finish the back rooms behind the exit door because he straight up just didn't know what to put there?
I do have to apologize for lying about the exit. I was having so much trouble figuring out what to put on the other side and ended up never quite finishing it.
Cain had
Yeah, it was quite an iconic scene on the first episode in which there's exit after exit after exit after exit after exit after exit, but it leads to nowhere.
has no idea what's outside, so he couldn't put anything concrete out there. But he does know the circus. Thus, there's a top floor of this mansion full of fun and easy adventure, and a cellar where there's a multi-eyed monster trying to consume you.
Where are we now?
Not sure. A cellar of some kind.
Just like the circus and its cellar with all of the abstracted people. And yet, this cellar area in Mildenhall Manor, and therefore the cellar in the circus itself, it isn't hell. It's entirely distinct from hell. Yeah, Pomni and Kinger are pulled down from the cellar into a place even deeper in the level. So again, using our knowledge that Kane can only make what he knows, that would tell us that there's something buried even deeper in the circus. And what's down there? Some sort of soul that needs the humans to escape.
But I need a living host in order to escape the Hall of the Damned, and your bodies will be my only means of doing so.
This soul trapped in this hell needs bodies to escape. So, in the context of the circus, whatever's trapped deep under the cellar, this mysterious AI, it needs more of these abstracted minds to eventually escape the circus.
Oh, he makes a very interesting thought. Okay. What is above and what is below? Most religions says that heaven and earth. Heaven, earth, and hell. Alright. What is above heaven? What is below hell? More hell. Now what is below that? More hell. Now what is below that? More hell. What is even below that? What is another existence after hell? There's no more. Then what is after no more? Similarly, what is above heaven? More heaven. What is above that? More heaven. What is above that? More heaven. There's nothing else above heaven. Then what is above that? Nothing else.
It even fits with this religious imagery that we see over and over and over. These seraph angels, the ones with wings and eyes, they are commonly associated with stories of apotheosis. That means something mundane being transformed into something divine. A human becoming a god, for example. Or perhaps an AI reaching sentience, surpassing the humans that created it, becoming greater than the gods that made it. That, loyal theorists, is where I believe the story of the amazing digital circus is headed. Either Kane or Jax or some greater AI hidden deeper within the code is trying to abstract these human minds trapped within the circus, stripping them of their humanity and adding their intelligence to its own, all so they can escape. What's more, if we look at the backstories that we can put together for all of the main characters of the digital circus, we can figure out exactly who is up next on the chopping block. But that, my friends, is a theory for another day. Sometime really soon, so subscribe if you want to make sure that you don't miss that one. Until then, remember that it's all just a theory. A film theory. And cut.
Hey, it's me, former host Matt Pat, and I interrupt this video with a special announcement. I'm here to tell you I'm retiring. Again!
Didn't he already retire?
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Now, I know what you're thinking. Did this guy already leave?
Oh, that's what I was thinking. Oh, okay, let's hear him out.
And the answer is yes, but also no. You see, since leaving this channel, I've been over on GT Live having a grand old time being bad at video games and turning 1-minute videos into 90-minute theory fests. But now it's time for me to bow out of that channel as well, giving way to the new host, Ash, who, let's be honest, is way funnier than me anyway.
I feel like Judge Judy is the Ed Sheeran of, like, Americans over the age of 60.
You can see the difference between the two of them. Employee, employer. The boss is the older individual. It's like, I'm trying to be supportive. I don't know what you're talking about, but I'm gonna laugh it anyway.
Judge Judy is the Ed Sheeran of
Americans over the age of 65.
Amazing.
So this Saturday, October 26th at 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern, 10 o'clock Pacific, we're having a big going away party live, and I want you to be there. Consider it an eras tour for GT Live, where we're playing games and getting all nostalgic about the last decade of streaming. And most importantly of all, this whole thing is meant to benefit the Make-A-Wish Foundation, an organization that works to make the wildest dreams come true for children fighting the world's most critical illnesses. In fact, in this stream, we're raising money for their most urgent wishes, what are known as the rush wishes, the ones where sadly the children don't have that much time left. The reason this meant so much to me is that basically you all made my wishes come true thanks to this career on YouTube, and now as my final act, I'd like to pay it forward by making other people's wishes come true. Seemed like a really fitting note to go out on. And hey, if you want to start contributing now, as part of the charity event, we're actually having an auction of some old Matt, Pat, and GT Live memorabilia from over the years, with all the proceeds going to help those critically ill children to get their wishes granted. You can actually get your hands on some super rare one-of-a-kind items, like the morph suit that I wore from that edible underwear episode, the giant Gigachew that's hanging around our office, we have a signed copy of Undertale from yours truly, so you can own one along with the Pope, and even my signature red jacket. Yeah, the one that's been hanging up on set since my retirement video. One of a kind, signed by me. You'll see it live on the stream so you know it's real. Anyway, all those items and more are available right now for you to bid on all throughout this week up until the auction closes during the finale live stream. So if you're interested in contributing to an amazing charity and an amazing cause, or if you're interested in just getting some cool stuff, make sure you check out the link down in the description below, and be sure you're there this Saturday the 26th at 1 o'clock Eastern, 10 o'clock Pacific for one final video. A final video for you. See ya.
Well, thank you so much. I watched that live stream. It was incredible. Yeah, thank you. But hey, that's just a theory. A film theory and cut. And I hope to see you in my next video. Thank you so much. Subscribe. Thank you. Subscribe.